Let me help you with your vision, they losing their sight here. Time to send the world a message they might hear. Like Meek Mills, I'm making it quite clear. I'm chasing my dreams and fighting my nightmares. I'm going real hard, I'm talking words you understand, I'm talking real bars. I'm going everywhere you know, I'm talking real far. Yeah, it's time to raise a toast to this thing to the Lord the most. As I go from coast to coast, I'm talking north side, I'm talking south side, I'm talking east side, I'm talking west side. I'm going worldwide, I'm going worldwide, I'm going worldwide, I'm going worldwide. Yeah, it's time to let you know how I spit it when I flow. When I go and light a fuse and I set to let it blow. I'm talking worldwide, I'm going worldwide, I'm going worldwide, I'm going worldwide. Yeah, time to check my status and the GOAT is with it be. And you know I'm over 30, so my level is a G. And I may be from the hood, but I'm way beyond these streets. And my pockets hate a diet, so they always down to eat. Even though they screaming fame, and it's always spelling me. And I'll never hang it up till my mission is complete. And I'm looking at you haters, I suggest you take a seat. Cause it's all fun and games till a killer show his teeth. This is for them cats that be screaming homies. Claiming that you real, but we know you're phony. Now I'm chilling with my sons, they my one and only. Like the Turner brothers, yeah, we screaming lions only. Step into this den, I welcome all who will dare. Never met a David, tell me whom shall I fear? Gotta rep the nation, black and gold is what I wear. If you look to your left, to your right, I'm everywhere. I'm talking worldwide, I'm going worldwide, I'm going worldwide, I'm going worldwide.
Roxamore Sports live here at the Chambersburg High School. Today we are doing our second event of this of January 15th. Right now, the game is going to be between the girls' varsity basketball teams. It will be Imhotep Charter Panthers versus the Forest Hills Rangers. It should be a very interesting game. Just to give you a little bit of guidance on who to look for. The Imhotep will be red, and our ladies in white and gold will be none other than Forest Hills Rangers. Dylan, what are your takes on this game so far? I mean, well,
no, that's okay. So I think here between these two clubs, obviously different conferences to go here. Forest Hills ranks right now 9-1 overall, 7-1 in their respective league, second in the Laurel Highlands Conference, while they are 5-0 at home. They are intended to be the home team today, so they hope to make that 6-0 in respect to this tournament. 26 All-PA ranking and 4th in the AAA division for Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, you have Imhotep Charter Panthers, respected to Philadelphia. Obviously, because of the pandemic going on, there have been some cancellations in games. Their record, as shows, is 2-4, 30% chance on games, 1-0 in their respective conference. Forest Hills has the upper hand on paper, but we will see what happens right now as Forest Hills has the ball. Golden letters on their jerseys. We're going to have great play there. And number 13, Smith, with the missed shot, rebounded there by the Panthers. I was mentioning before their respected conferences. We've mentioned Hoops for Harmony has been able to bring together different communities and different leagues. This is certainly the first time that both of these clubs have been able to match up in this first ever Hoops for Harmony tournament. What have you had to say for that so far, Max?
Good sportsmanship so far. Everybody's been acting like a decent person. We haven't seen any fisticuffs at all. We've seen people verbally assaulting each other. It's exactly what we're supposed to be doing, guys. We're supposed to be just enjoying the game, being competitive, being strategic, but at the same time, just not that aggressive. You know what I mean? So,
Shirato will get the first set of free throws to go her way for the Rangers.
So, Dylan, what are you looking forward to in this game?
Well, so after looking over some of the records for both squads, obviously the Panthers haven't had a whole lot of games in their season so far. They may seem a little more rusty compared to the Rangers. I'd like to see the Panthers get them off to a more aggressive start and see what they have against this Rangers team who's already put up 1 point on the board. 3-point shot there is no good for number 3. That's Justin Edwards. And that'll be rebounded and collected by the Rangers. Rangers on the assault now. Number 24 with the open look, and that bounces off the rim. That's Alexis Henderson for Forest Hills. And now the open layup is good. That's number 1, Ramir Barno for the Panthers. We've mentioned before, this Hoops for Harmony tournament obviously brings together different teams from across the different states. Obviously, we hope that both clubs are able to get some scouts watching them, get some opportunities for scholarships for them for Division I and II basketball, and beyond whatever it is they decide to do in life. Hopefully, they all get what they want and more, as it's stolen now by the Rangers. Got a nice pass inside there. Missed swat there by number 12, Booker, as that goes in for Forest Hills.
Good reception.
5-2 your score now for the intended home team in Forest Hills. We have a moment here to check the tires. Everybody wants to tie their shoes every now and then. I know mine come undone.
Absolutely. You don't want one of those banana peel moments where it's just that simple little thing that ruins the whole game. Yeah.
It's a bit of a satisfying thing every now and then, as Edwards will get the inbound pass over to number 11 for the Panthers. And that'll be taken back over by Forest Hills. That's Henderson on the attack as that gets passed over and in.
Beautiful defense there.
And Berkney on the layup there. Nice pull bank shot. It's no good for the Panthers. That is number 11. For some reason, don't have on my roster sheet. She may be wearing a different jersey. Booker at the line. Her first free throw will be good, as Forest Hill has the 4-point lead, 7-3 here, 5:34 your score. Make that a 3-point lead as the lead is cut from 7 to 4. A little poke check there, taken by the Panthers, as that goes between the legs there.
So far, the performance is pretty good today between these two teams. The score hasn't been slipping too far from one team over the other.
Beautiful bounce pass there. Unfortunately, it won't go in as the Panthers fight for the loose ball. Booker now holding on. And it'll stay in possession of the Panthers. Ball will be given now over to Ramir Barno, who will go over and pass it to Edwards. Edwards to Barno. Barno hits back, and Forest Hills on great defense as they slide around. Passes back over. The mid-range shot bounces off the rim, and now Forest Hill with the ball as Berkney collects the loose ball. Berkney moves around. Light screen as that'll be moved on the outer part. That'll be passed outside. We'll take the three-pointer, move up, and it'll actually be stolen now by the Panthers. That's Barno on the attack. Bounces off the backboard, will be no good. We're going to have a kick ball there by Imhotep. You can hear head coach Andre Noble for the Panthers trying to encourage the ladies basketball team. Now I'll pass over to Smith. Smith will hand off, and the open three-point shot, and that rolls around and is no good. Rebounded by Forest Hill, and foul. I think so far in this second game here has been a little bit more collected. We noticed Chambersburg had a lot of dropped passes, went right back over, and you can see the blowout win there in favor of, forgive me, I've lost track of the name.
Forest Hills.
No, I'm Cedar Cliff, forgive me.
Cedar Cliff.
Cedar Cliff had a fantastic game on part. I had an opportunity to speak with him. Obviously, gives credit to his team's defense and their overall speed. Says that they have a lot that they'd like to work with. Obviously, they have an undefeated season, so that might seem a little blasphemous. Obviously, you want to continue to go forward, but hey, you can't be unhappy with undefeated season so far.
Absolutely not. And that previous game was quite impressive for the Colts.
Inbound pass there by Coet. And now Smith will take it and hand back over to Berkney. Berkney with some nice dance moves as that's passed back over. And now Berkney with the ball again. Mid-range jumper is no good. Rebounded there by number 21 for the Panthers.
Good passing strategy there. Seem to be. There you go. Yeah, they seem to be reading each other quite well. Putting some speed in the passes. Right now, seems like the scale is tipping a bit on Imhotep's side. Well, we'll see for how long. Right. Alexis Henderson is back on the field. Alexis Henderson is back on the court, rather. Ball just seems to be out of her
Great
hands.
passing going around now. Three-point shot. That hits the very top of the right of the backboard. It's just come to my attention that I've been reading the roster for the men's Imhotep squad, so that might explain my issues. I've just pulled up the roster. Forgive me.
I thought I had the wrong roster for a second myself.
Covering so many games for this wonderful tournament, you seem to get names either misplaced or swapped around now. That's number 3, Finney. And that pass will be taken and no good. That'll roll out of bounds. Looks like Finney will go over and collect for the inbound pass. You see Gager over, and that's Gaiman with the missed mid-range shot. That's going to sail out of bounds. Finney will come back over for another inbounds pass. We have a bit more of a contested game here to start this second game of the second day between both clubs here, Imhotep and Forest Hills. Obviously, the blood in the last game, it's a bit more refreshing to see some friendly competition as Forest Hills is on the attack.
It's the reception that really seems like it played a big role in the last game of how they handle the ball, how they grab the ball. What we're seeing here is both teams seem to be grabbing that ball quite well. And that can be kind of hard because, you know, it's coming at you real fast, and it's just hard to kind of get a reading of where the other players are, your opponents are. And you're basically, you know, jumping and patting your head and rubbing your belly at the same time. It's a lot of multitasking.
Hey, some people are better than it than us, it seems. I definitely am bad at that myself. Finney hands it back over to Stevens for Imhotep. Unfortunately, that will get a foul call here against Forest Hills, number 13. That's Remington Smith. We'll see Smith come out and be replaced now by number 25, Berkney. Berkney's defending against Finney. That ball we pass back over, and now Gaiman hands it off inside, and that layup's good. And we have a tied game here with 1:50 to go in the first period. Competitive basketball all around is something that I and many like me love more than anything in the world.
Absolutely. Likewise here.
Bad pounce pass, and that gets collected back, and we have bad communication on both parts there. That was a loose ball by Finney, and that'll go back over to Berkney. Berkney looks across the field. She has Chutna to her. And that's number 24, Henderson, with the ball. She'll pass back over. Berkney surveys the field, hands it off to Shataro. In the mid-range shot there is good by Lexington Keck, forgive me.
1 minute.
Taya Finney handed that off, and now scramble for the ball. That was Anise Gager. Lost track of that, and that'll go back over to Forest Hills. With 50 seconds left to go here, down by 2, Forest Hills looking to add to their score. Missed the mid-range off the front of the lip of the rim, and that's going to be stolen hard, and the layup is no good. That bounces off the shoe out of bounds. Stevens for the Panthers trying to collect.
That was a great grab there nonetheless, though.
Anna Berkney will try to hand off in their own end. Berkney goes off the hand of one of the Panthers.
About 30 seconds.
Deep pass outside there to Berkney. Berkney will hand off to her right over to Henderson. Henderson back to Berkney. Berkney getting double defended now, and 10 is open for 3, but that's going to be an air ball there, rebounded by Stevens. Stevens will hand off, and that's swatted out of bounds by Keck.
Got a substitution in here.
Great defense all around here, explaining the short score here for both clubs, as that shot is going to bounce off the rim and eventually be collected by number 21, Rambert Carter. Over now to Stevens. Stevens with a mid-range shot.
And there we have
And that buzzer beater is good, and they will let it stand. 10-10 your score here to end the first period between the Panthers and the Rangers. We will be back to give you the second quarter right after these messages.
I'm Dr. John Deitch, WellSpan Health orthopedic surgeon. WellSpan Health delivers orthopedic care you can count on to get you back to your best. From common bone and joint problems to complex injuries, our team of surgeons, physicians, therapists, and athletic trainers work together for you. That's why we're the official sports medicine provider for this team, that team, and your team. That's how WellSpan Health delivers orthopedic care you can count on.
Roxamore Sports live here
Dr.
at
John.
the Chambersburg High School. We're at the second quarter of our second game today, January 15th. It is Imhotep versus Forest Hills. Right now, the score is a nice tie, a 10-10.
After the nice buzzer beater to go in for the Panthers, we have a tied game here to begin this second quarter now, as number 3, Finney, gives the ball off, and that was a nice mid-range jumper there to go in. And the Panthers lead by 2. This definitely feels like a more even matchup here. Both clubs have very nice trust in their mid-range jumpers, their layups to go in. Great defense all around. I would certainly say this is probably our best women's matchup we've had so far in this tournament. What do you have to say, Max?
I would absolutely agree with that. So far, we haven't seen a whole lot of tied games or games that just kind of stay within a 2-point, 3-point range of each other. Where both teams are constantly have a good back and forth. Right now, the game is tied again. I take that back. Looking at the wrong
Finney
side of the
gets the
scoreboard.
open mid-range jumper, and Forest Hills, with that slipping out of bounds, will go right back over to Imhotep Charter School.
One thing we haven't seen is in the fourth quarter we haven't seen the game tie and have to go to any.
Obviously, a lot of
times.
scouts out there would love nothing more than to see a buzzer beater in the fourth quarter. That's what every high schooler dreams of. They practice it every day in their driveways and at playgrounds, something that both clubs here would love nothing more than to do if it came to just that. Forest Hills now with the ball as that gets inbound passed over to Berkney. Or forgive me, that's number 13, Smith. Smith will get the ball back again. And the open deep three-pointer, and that'll rattle around the rim. Out of bounds. The Panthers play it safely and will stay away. Samaya Stevens hands that back over to Castilla Gaiman. And now Finney has the ball. Gaiman moving to her left. Being defended now by Anna Berkney. The ball now handed over to Stevens. Stevens gets the screen. Stevens will move in for the mid-range jumper. That'll bounce off the backboard, and both clubs will fight for it. But Forest Hills will get the rebound. Forest Hills now all by herself for the mid-range jumper, hoping to bank that in. But that's going to be given back over to the Panthers. Geiger on the rebound, and that's going to be passed back over to Gaiman. Gaiman being defended well now over to Finney. Finney will hand it over, and the three-point shot there by Stevens is no good. Rebounded, taken over back by Forest Hills. And that's stolen for a moment, but given right back over to Forest Hills. Forest Hills with a nice shot, but that will rattle and not go in. Stevens will take it by herself. Almost a Euro step there. Missed bounce layup, and the second one will go in. The large frame there for Michaela Sunshine Rambert Carter. A big mouthful of that, but she has a large frame to back up for it. Number 24 for Forest Hills. Her shot, Henderson, no good. That'll be given back over to the Panthers. Imhotep, get her own rebound, she will, and her second shot will go in.
So far, this is the widest we've seen the scoreboard have a gap in. 18/10.
Imhotep certainly cashing in on those offensive rebounds as we get another bank shot to go in. A little bit of game of horse here in this game between Imhotep Charter School and Forest Hills. As we get a stoppage of play here, timeout with 4:46 to go. 18-12, the score for the Panthers. We'll be right back here in a moment. Or actually, no, if you'd like to continue on, I think, Max, we should probably mention these bank shots that have been going in for both clubs. I think that, unlike the last game, you kind of had Chambersburg kind of going in, having the passes ready, and going up for some shots, but no one kind of collecting the loose change in those rebounds. I think in this case, having it, and it's very rewarding. It's almost a lot like analogy with the NBA. You see LeBron James kind of go up. He'll throw it off the backboard, get it up, and get another layup to go in his favor. These women out here going and shooting it, getting their own loose rebound. It's probably one of the most rewarding things you can do. If you can't get it, go and get the layup and score.
Absolutely. They're not wasting any time doing that at all. Buzzer just rang, but yeah, it's definitely working to their benefit. It's all about that reception. Your eyes have to be on the ball, but it has to be on the other players as well, and they certainly are doing that. So far, I have to say, the game started off quite heavy. Both teams just going at it, and right now it doesn't seem like it's really tipping in anybody's favor, even despite the score. But I have a feeling that Forest Hills is going to come back in the score a little bit.
Well, they'll need to come back here. They kind of took their foot off the gas moving upfield there. They had Berkney going, but they've had a lot of shots that have kind of been hit or miss. Meanwhile, the Panthers have the nice 6-point lead here in the second period. Pass over now in the inside lane. And he's got 5 defenders all around her looking for some help, and that's Finney that gets it and a stoppage of play. It's going to be called offensive foul, and it'll go back over to Forest Hills. Looks like Keck will hand it back over to Gretchen. That's going to be now Berkney with the ball. Now the Panthers with some good perimeter defense. Hands out wide. Nice pass inside over to Keck. Keck looking for some open looks here. She'll pass over to her teammate there. That's McGo. And now Smith with the ball as she gets the mid-range. Actually, no, that'll be Lexington Keck with the ball.
That was a good shot.
18-14 your score with 3:50 to go here in the second period. And now the Panthers will hand over. That's Finney going back over to Gaiman. Over to Finney once again. Double team defense here by 2-on-3. And that'll go back over to Troy Ebo. Back over to the outside corner. And that'll be Gaiman with the ball. Pass back to Finney. Finney will go back over to Stevens. Stevens passes over to the right to Ebo. And now the ball's stolen and given back over to Forest Hills. Finney on the defense there. A little bit of a Euro step and a beautiful layup shot. That was Lexington Keck.
And now the score's back to where it was, just 2 points behind the other team. 18-16.
Callista Gaiman. And now the wild shot will bounce off the back of the rim and go back to Forest Hills. Trying to collect herself there. That is Berkney with the ball. Berkney surveys the field. She'll pass over to number 20, Magoo. Magoo will have her three-point look. That won't go. Panthers with the rebound as Finney will stop and collect. Tanaya Finney, and she'll pass over to Troy Ebo. Ebo being defended well now by the Forest Hill Rangers. Keeping that ball from sailing out of bounds there was Gaiman.
That was an excellent catch.
Gaiman being defended well there by Berkney. She'll sail it out to the left. And now Finney with the wild pass over. Gaiman, her mid-range shot will go in.
And a graceful shot at that. Didn't
And
seem like there was too much opposition there.
Absolutely. I think that for the Panthers, that's kind of been their whole MO here for this game, is having someone open either for your pass, your open look bank shots, or having someone go in for the rebound and collect the loose cash. As we have over on the left here, we have Troy Ebo defending. That's going to be kicked over to the left. And now Berkney, her shot will go off and bounce, and Finney will collect the loose change. 1:20 to go here in this second period. The Panthers up by 4 against the Forest Hill Rangers. And now Stevens with the ball. She'll do it all herself. That rattles off the backboard and in. And now trying to make a move there. That was Smith. She's being guarded well. You can see Finney fighting hard. That pass will be over to Keck. Keck will kick it to the middle, and an air ball will sail out of bounds. 48.2 seconds to go here, and we'll have substitutions in play for both squads. So with 48 seconds here, where do you expect the Panthers to try to get away from this in this first half?
I definitely see them definitely trying to go in for a lot more three-pointers towards like the end of the game, just to kind of widen the scoreboard a little bit. Right now, they already have a pretty good lead going on right now, but it's nothing to really get too confident on, as we've seen the Woodland Hills not Woodland Hills, but Forest Hills is more than capable of climbing back up on the scoreboard rather quickly. But definitely, I would imagine that it would be within Imhotep's best interest to kind of try to get more three-pointers in there, try to widen that scoreboard. So we shall see.
Forest Hills now with the ball. Keck will hand it back over to her teammate Smith. Smith now will kick it over to Berkney. Berkney will kick it to the right arc corner. Berkney with the nice pass. They'll go back and forth now as you see Parker step in defensively. Parkner, a wild shot here at the buzzer, And that is your score, 22-16 for the Panthers, Imhotep Charter School against the Forest Hills Rangers. This is Roxamore Sports Network, which will be back shortly after these messages.
I'm Dr. John Deitch, WellSpan Health orthopedic surgeon. WellSpan Health delivers orthopedic care you can count on to get you back to your best. From common bone and joint problems to complex injuries, our team of surgeons, physicians, therapists, and athletic trainers work together for you. That's why we're the official sports medicine provider for this team, that team, and your team. That's how WellSpan Health delivers orthopedic care you can count on.
Hello, I'm Lisa Baldwin with Remax Select Realty. My experience and my commitment makes everything I touch turn to sold.
Call Lisa Baldwin at 724-933-6300 extension 489 or go to selecthomefinder.com.
Hey kid, let me tell you about the Soul Pit, and I want you to let everybody know about it. Soul Pit is what's happening in and around your city. Soul Pit is on the internet and around the globe. Soul Pit is on your block and in your car. Soul Pit is in your ear. It's in your hair. It's everywhere. Soul Pit is the latest news, hottest styles, culture, education, information, and more. It gets you ready for things to come. Hey kid, you know what the Soul Pit really is? It's a little something extra for your soul.
Get moving with the Planet Fitness Black Card and check out all the perks. Like access to over 2,000 locations? You got it. Bring a guest anytime. That's right. And relax and unwind with massage chairs and more. Plus get tons of variety and space to move in our super clean clubs. Your fitness is essential. Join Planet Fitness today and get all the perks of the PF Black Card.
Join now and get the PF Black Card for just $22.99 a month. Hurry, deal ends soon.
At Chambersburg University, we don't just celebrate success, we live it. With endless academic opportunities, a vibrant campus life, and a community of alumni support, at SHIP, you design the future you want. There are so many reasons SHIP is it.
Trouble can find anyone. At Frank Walker Law, we take the time to understand your situation and work tirelessly on your behalf. Hard-hitting representation when you need it the most. A real law firm getting real results.
Roxamore Sports Live here at the Chambersburg High School. We are here just watching the Imhotep playing against Forest Hills, and it's been quite an interesting game. What did you say, Dylan?
Absolutely, and for this halftime show, I'd like to mention a couple of names that stick to mind to me. For the Panthers, again, that's my fault for having the wrong roster sheet, but I have the names in front of me now, and a lot of names stick out to me, especially number one, Gaiman. She is apparently a freshman for her respected ball club in Imhotep Charter School. She's really proved to be herself a great guard, a shooting guard for that squad. Alongside her, you have Junior Stevens, as well as, I had Finney on here. Finney being a grade 4 general, the only senior that I've seen for that squad. Meanwhile, you go over to Forest Hills, And the only seniors on that squad that I've been able to point out, Keck obviously, Lexington Keck number 10, as well as senior Mackenzie Hoover, but Berkney is only a sophomore. A lot of young women out there that are still developing their game. Again, I mentioned Gaiman for the Panthers. She's only a freshman. So a lot of these talented women out there, a lot of scouts will have plenty of years to watch them. Hopefully they can find themselves someone that will recruit them, get them into a respected club, and help them develop their game when their respected high school careers come to a close. All of them looking to get some action going here in this Hoops for Harmony tournament. All of it brought to you by our respected Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which will be celebrated on Monday. This whole tournament is brought to you by the athletic director for Chambersburg, Ron Corsi, who I had the opportunity to speak with yesterday, and he's very proud of both these men and women that have come out today. But so far for this game, I think both clubs have shown some promising looks. Obviously, it's a very close, competitive game. 6 points to go, 22-16. There's a lot of basketball to go. Obviously, after this, we have much more. We'll get the graphic up later. But for this game, there's a lot more to go, a whole half, and we're going to be back with that in 4 minutes. Before that, Max, is there any players that I mentioned or some that you've maybe mentioned that you'd like to bring out?
Not in particular. I think all the players are actually putting their all in there. And I think a lot of players are going to get some good news about possible scholarship opportunities that will be available for them at the end of this event. I'm actually just amazed with how they've been performing today. The score has not been at all gapped too far, at least. Basically, Forest Hills was able to climb up the scoreboard up again and again and match up with Imhotep. It seems like Imhotep has the upper hand in this event, but basically Forest Hills is able to kind of get themselves back into action and kind of get their bearings straight, and I think that's really working to their benefit. And I think, you know, our viewers are catching note of that, and I think, like I said, I think they're going to get a lot of good news about scholarship opportunities that will be available.
Absolutely. I think for Imhotep, they played a cleaner, safer game. I think, like I've been mentioning in the broadcast, them kind of having someone there, always having someone there to watch them go into the loose ball fouls, to go over if they get the loose rebounds. I'm sure the coaches for the Panthers are very proud of what these women have had to do. Obviously for Forest Hills, you have to think in their sake, their head coach, which I don't have the name for, obviously, both coaches are watching in anticipation, hoping to see some great play here in the second half. But before we get back to that second half, we should bring you back to our presentation coming up here. It is Season 3 of the Rock Comedy Show, headlined by Terry Jones, Lena, and Gino. Hosted by Izzy For Real on February 18th, 2022. $25 in advance, $30 at the door. Doors open at 6 p.m., show starting at 8. Rocks Landing, 506 Chartiers Avenue, McKees Rocks, PA 15136. Again, that's the Rock Comedy Show in Orbit.
To get your tickets, call 412-378-8271.
To get your tickets now, go ahead and call the number that I've been given, 412-378-8271. Again, that's 412-378-8271. Or you can go to www.rockcomedyshow.com. Again, that's www.rockcomedyshow.com. The Rock Comedy Show in Orbit. And so we've kind of mentioned earlier some of the games coming forward. We'll go ahead and get that graphic going here. So right now you have Forest Hills and Imhotep Charter School. The girls, the first men's matchup today will be Keystone Academy versus Chester. Along that, at 1 o'clock, there'll be a following game, York High versus Harrisburg at 2:30. Following that, at 4 p.m., will be Woodland Hills versus Severn. Again, we'll have more games to follow, but those are the main ones that will come. Again, that's going to be Keystone Academy in Chester, York versus Harrisburg, and Woodland Hills versus Severn. 22 seconds to go here to end this halftime, and we'll be right back to get you coverage of this third period.
Roxamore Sports Live here at the Chambersburg High School. We are here covering our second event today. It is Imhotep versus Forest Hills. Imhotep is right now in the lead. It's 22-16. We shall see how this next two quarters go.
Absolutely there, and Keck will get it, the inbound pass over to her teammate Smith. Smith being guarded well now.
And that was a bit messy there.
You can see Finney grabbing hold of her hip there for a moment. Looked like a little bit of a check on Forest Hills. Finney will get the ball now, being guarded by Berkney. That'll be passed outside. And again, I mentioned her name earlier, Samaya Stevens. She has had a great impact in this game for Imhotep Charter School. And now for Forest Hills, the pass outside from Smith. And now the ball will be stolen by the Panthers. And you see Finney with lightning feet going up court. Ball swatted there for a moment. And the ball will be turned over now and given back to Forest Hills. Finney with lightning feet, but unfortunately did not suit her in that moment. And now Keck will get it back over to Smith. Smith now being guarded by Sanaya Parker. Smith, and that will dribble right out of the reach of Lexington Keck. And a quick timeout here, not even a minute gone in this third period here. A lot of sloppy play here by Forest Hills.
I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say it doesn't seem like it's as fluid as the last two quarters we've seen so far. Wouldn't you agree to that somewhat?
I feel like they were definitely cleaner to begin the game. Obviously, you kind of want to have some open formations going, but the Panthers have had formations themselves, playing a great defensive front here to start the game, the second half. I'm sure both coaches are going over saying, hey, let's clean this up. Let's keep this rolling. We have plenty of game in front of us. It hasn't been 54 seconds have passed in this third period.
Should resume here pretty soon. Plays
And
back
now
on the court.
the corner inbound pass there from Parker over to Finney. Finney gets the ball and back over to Parker in the inside corner. And now that bounce pass will dribble off the backboard and in. And now Smith will dribble it up herself. She's being guarded well by Parker. And now you have 24 Henderson, and that'll be collected by Keck. But now the ball goes back over to Imhotep to Stevens. Stevens will kick it outside to Parker. Parker, she'll get that ball swatted by the large frame of Scirato. And now you see Henderson going the distance. That'll go off the back of the rim, and they shoulder check as that sails out of bounds.
They had a good chance there, and it was absolutely denied. Seems like Imhotep is really fluid with these passings that they're making as they constantly make it into their opponent's three-pointer line. And like right now, what we're seeing, these are nice, smooth passes.
Mid-range shot there is no good by number 12, Gager. And that will be collected and handed off now is Henderson. Henderson passes over to Smith. Smith being guarded now by Gaiman. As that's going to be collected by the Panthers, but hard contact there. Finney will get from Berkney, and she'll pass back over to Gaiman. Over to Parker, and Parker's well defended there by Smith. Official handover to Parker. On the midline, you see Tanaya Finney, who will get the bounce inbound pass. She's well guarded now by Chutna. Or correcting, that's Berkney there. And a nice pass there, and the layup is good for number 12, Geiger. You can see the Panthers coach directing with high enthusiasm as that wild three-point shot rattles around the rim and is collected by the Panthers. Deep pass outside corner. And Stevens claps for the foul call as she tries to bank that off, but she'll get 2 3-throw opportunities. Starting to see more physical play here to start the second half here by both clubs. A shoulder check earlier, and now you see Stevens, one of the leaders of this Panthers team, going in, missing the first 3-throw, but great opportunities for her nonetheless.
Absolutely agree with that. Definitely seems like they're coming in with way more energy.
Maya Stevens will get 1 for 2 on that set of free throws. And now it's a 27-16 lead here for the Panthers.
It's not too far from the beaten path, though. They have a good chance at redemption here, but we shall see.
Like Sanaya Parker there had a little too much of a lean there against Woodland Hills number 13, Smith. Smith being guarded by Parker, and Berkney's being guarded by Finney. Finney gets screened. Pass back over that will be Henderson. Back over to Smith. Smith being guarded by Parker, and the inbound pass is good and up and in by Addison Serrato, forgive me. Great work there by Woodland Hills. Obviously, they have a steady hill to climb. Forest Hills, forgive me.
I know. Forest, Woods, synonymous.
Woodland Hills, Forest Hills. There's a lot of hills. Forest Hills, Berkney. And the three-point shot is nothing but net.
Great call and great passing there by Forest Hills.
And just like that, timeout is called and a 6-point game here with 4:04 to go in the third period. I think Forest Hills, correction from earlier, Forest Hills Rangers, they've definitely heard us from up here through some telepathic means. Definitely getting more aggressive on their shots. Three-point shot is always good, but I think that defense that they've had against Imhotep has proven to be effective.
Absolutely, but it seems like Imhotep's offense is a lot more precise than Forest Hills. It seems like they're getting in the three-pointer line and they're just going directly in for the shot. They're not making too many three-pointers, but it seems like Forest Hills is trying to go a little bit more for the three-pointers now, just to kind of catch up on the score. But nonetheless, great improvement here in this third quarter. For a second, it looked like Imhotep had the upper hand and was gaining better traction than Forest Hills, but now it seems like Forest Hills is kind of getting the bearing straight again, and so far it's proving quite beneficial.
Forest Hills with less of a mountain to climb now, as the Panthers have taken their foot off the gas a little bit, but hopefully they continue to bring up what they did in the first half as Finney comes up and is guarded by Smith. Nice pass there over to Stevens. Loose ball now as Gaiman, and she'll get that back over, and the foul is called. Denise Geiger with the ball. Addison Shirato will be called for foul there, and 2 free throws will go to the Panthers. Again, we mentioned throughout a lot of these games here, obviously it's a dangerous, chippy situation when you have the loose ball, both teams fighting so hard to win in this beloved tournament that we've been covering so far. It's going to be a lot of opportunity for both getting the loose ball, but also for foul opportunity. 3-point is no good, and Stevens will go through the doorway. And we see a hard collision there as Lexington Keck collects herself off the court floor.
Looked like almost a face plant there.
When you can look around, a lot of the Woodland Hills team players have prepared themselves for this matchup. You can see around between Addison Shirato and company, a lot of them wearing braces and sleeves to protect themselves, but obviously you can't defend against every injury.
Right. It happens. It definitely happens.
Second free throw is good, and a steal now by Gaiman. Gaiman will smartly take it back and pass over to Finney with the open three, and that bounces off the back of the rim. And now we have both teams fighting for the ball, but it looks like number 24 Henderson will be the lucky winner of that battle. Henderson will pass over to Smith. Smith, being guarded by Gaiman, gets the screen. You have Hoover, and then the pass outside. Keck's shot goes over the back of the rim. And you have Stevens once again on the attack. Looks like that will go out of bounds, and we'll go back to Forest Hills. Up by 8 here are the Panthers.
All right. A little bit of a delay there.
So you see Samaya Stevens there on multiple drives now, going the distance, and you know you've seen Lessington Keck kind of get the impact of those drives. What do you think defensively is the right move to kind of keep her from getting those layups?
So far, it's definitely a. There we go. So
she
far, it's
goes
definitely
for
a
another
speed.
drive. Stevens with a missed layup. We'll go back over to Forest Hills. And now we have Keck over, and the ball will go back over to Forest Hills with Stevens going. And Keck and Stevens will play a game of hot potato themselves. Open three will bounce off the front of the rim to the outside. Refs have a little bit of a chuckle as they hand that ball back over to Keck. She'll pass over to Stevens, and she gets a hand knocked on her as she tries the mid-range jumper. And she'll go up for her free throws. And obviously, basketball can be a physical game. Defensively, you're trying to get the ball. It's very easy, you know, going for the ball, trying to get it out of the hands, and just you always nick an elbow or nick a wrist. You know,
Right.
I'm sure they go over this in practice all the time. What do you think, like, when you're in that position, what are you going for when you're going for the ball?
I think sometimes your mind gets a little beside itself. You're just really trying to grab the ball, but sometimes you forget about the rules of the game. It can kind of lead to a foul sometimes. And other times we've seen it turn ugly, where it becomes a full-on fisticuffs. But fortunately, we have not seen that at all in any of these games.
We've yet to have a flagrant foul called here as the lead goes back down to 6. And now you see Stevens being the all-or-nothing train, her drives. And we have a breakaway opportunity here for the Forest Hill Rangers. And that's Stevens, or Smith, forgive me. I've said her name so much, Smith and Stevens kind of go together.
Just like Woods and Forest.
Finney now with the back step, and that will bounce off the back of the rim. That'll be rebounded by the large frame of 21, Rambert Carter. Looks like that will be given back over to the Panthers. Finney will be back to inbound past that. A defensive foul called against Forest Hills. And now Parker with the ball will pass it back over to the outside to Stevens. And now Forest Hills again on the attack. Keck will go over, being guarded by Finney with the open 3 shot, and that's going to be another air ball. That bounce pass is intercepted by Parker, and she's going to be guarded by number 35, McLeary. McLeary and Parker go fisticuffs for a moment, figuratively, I mean.
Hopefully, it just stays figurative.
We have covered boxing. We would in boxing only we will allow fisticuffs, but not in a sportsman game focused around Martin Luther King Day.
Exactly. And on a side note, no injuries also, so that's a great thing.
That's another big thing. We're going to get a travel called here against the Panthers. We're going to have Henderson will go. Actually, no, they'll swap signs with the substitution. Henderson will come out, and we're going to have Smith go for the inbounds pass over to Berkney. Berkney back to Smith as she rushes up court. Berkney going to the outside corner. Hands back over to just her. Berkney will go over to 20, McGoo. And now inside, mid-range jumper is swatted and blocked. That's that large frame again. Rambert Carter with the block. And now we see Finney being guarded well by Berkney. We see Stevens get her pocket picked. And now Rambert Carter with the rebound. But unfortunately, that'll go back over to Forest Hills.
It always hurts to see that when they're so close to getting that shot.
And one for Forest Hills. That's going to be Remington Smith. And she'll go up for the three-point opportunity. Bring another substitution now as number 12, Mackenzie Johns, will come into the game. He's going to be in the backcourt there, as well as Emmy Johns. And that three-point play is a go. And Parker will have to come over, being guarded well by Smith. Ball almost coming out of bounds. And the buzzer beater is no good off the right side of the backboard. 29-28 your score, 1-point game, and we will be going to commercial here. We will be right back with Roxamore Sports Network after these messages. Right now we're in our second game, second day of the Hoops for Harmony tournament going on. It is the Forest Hills Rangers and the Imhotep Charter School located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Right now, the Panthers have the 1-point lead here in the start of the fourth period. And now we see, looks like number 31, that's actually 11, forgive me, that's Stevens. And that'll be rebounded. And hard defense that will be from Henderson. And we get a steal now. That's going to be Parker again. So we've seen now drives from both Stevens and Parker get foul calls. Definitely seeing a very feisty team despite the lack of games they've had due to cancellations. Again, Imhotep Charters Panthers are 2-4, but they have 1-0 in their conference record. Meanwhile, Forest Hills Rangers are 9-1. So an upset of this magnitude would certainly be something. And they'll take the lead up by 2, Forest Hills, that's Henderson, and she'll take it to the outside and take the three-point shot. That bounces off the front of the rim. And Parker now takes it with the deep pass over to Stevens, and that goes over to her left, and the layup is good. That's Rambert Carter once again with the long locks going up court.
Wait. That was a bit of a rough run right there.
It's always a little easier calling the numbers on the back of the jerseys when you don't have such long locks protecting the numbers on the back.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that does happen from time to time.
You look at a great example, like you look at football, like you ever see like Derrick Henry, his hair almost looks more like straws of hay. Like he wraps it up as tight as can be. You can still see those numbers hanging around.
Exactly.
Panthers up by 4 now as Gaiman, forgive me. Gaiman will have it, and she'll get her pocket picked by Smith. And before the turnover can be completed, the Panthers will take a timeout here with 6:52 to go in the fourth. Up by 4 are the Panthers. I think that in part of the Forest Hill Rangers, they've had a pretty smart game getting back up and down the court. They've certainly made it competitive. But the Panthers, man, I see so much enthusiasm, so much drive, so much energy in them, you know, between Parker and, before we've mentioned several times, Smith, just running up and down the court. It reminds me a little bit of like the older days of OKC Westbrook, kind of going up and down like a million miles an hour, going for chase downs. It's something that you love to see in this game.
Absolutely, and it seems like they're maintaining the ball quite well with some fancy footwork in between, you know. They're definitely holding it, stopping it from getting in their opponent's possession. And that's ultimately leading to them getting more ground on their opponent's side of the court.
Callista Gaiman will take the ball and hand it off for the Panthers, while Forest Hills is just coming off of timeout. And the coaches are wondering what's going on. And Gaiman will hand it off to Parker, and Parker will take it back over to Carter. And now Stevens will take it, hand it off to number 12, Gager. And that's Parker, who will lay it up and in the body of Scaraccio. Lexington Keck hands that ball over to Smith. Smith will get the screen off Parker. That missed shot will go back over to the Rangers. And we have another steal here by Gaiman. Wonderful work there. Beautiful pick and roll in part of the Panthers. Take that, say that 4 times fast.
Yeah, I think they'll be going back to Philadelphia feeling quite proud of themselves. So.
Up by 8 here with 6 minutes to go in the fourth period. And looking for someone to take the inbound pass as they point over to, I believe that's Smith. And Stevens with large reach. And that pounds over from Scaraccio. And the three-point shot is no good. Rebounded by Scaraccio. And she'll get the foul from Stevens. Actually, no, they're going to give that foul to Geiger, number 12, as Addison Scarrato will go up for her 3 throws. Brings the score back to 7-point lead for the Panthers. That high intense velocity play by the Panthers has given them quite the leads. Back and forth they go, but the Forest Hill Rangers are still hanging in there, only down by 6 now.
They're within the range, 30 under 36.
Now Stevens will kick inside, will pass over to Geiger. Geiger will pass that ball over to Gaiman. And now you see Carter, and she'll get herself another layup. And now the score goes back up to 8-point lead. Serrato,
Ooh.
as she falls to her face.
Good sportsmanship, though.
You see Stevens picking her up. Love to see that in this game where teams that would normally never play each other get the chance to come together and be in a great community, come together, have great opportunity to play for something bigger than themselves. As Addison Serrato will go again to the free throw line. See Carter hand the ball back over to the official. Going 1 for 2 there as Geiger pulls onto the ball. The ball will go back over to Woodland Hills. Great defensive clamp there by Keck. Actually, no, that's Smith. Smith will hand it back inside to Henderson, and that shot will be rebounded by Carter. And now you can see Stevens moving inside. Ooh. Hard physical contact there as Berkney's on her face.
She walks it off like a trooper, though. 5 minutes and 11 seconds. The score is awfully close to each other, just a 5-point difference.
Keck trotting over to the inside paint. You see Stevens or Smith passing back and forth they go. Henderson, and now Smith, and her shot is just short. Rebounded that time by Ebo. Ebo being guarded closely by Smith, and they get the steal. And Berkney now waits for her teammates to come back, but now Smith hands it off over to Keck. Keck turns around, and her shot will go through. 5-point game here with 4:33 to go in the fourth.
Definitely seemed like Forest Hills knew exactly where they needed to be for that one.
Forest Hills will not go down lightly. And a beautiful Euro step attempt there, that time by Stevens. And now we have the open lane this time by Berkney as she gets the foul call. Takes a moment to check her tires.
Just under 5 minutes here, and so far this game has been very satisfying to watch.
Great plays, plenty of names to go around here. Obviously, we've mentioned all around Carter. We've mentioned Stevens plenty of times. Ebo coming into the game. Parker playing physical. And then on Woodland Hills side, you've seen Serrato come in. She's on the back end of the backcourt there. And you see now Berkney. She's just been phenomenal for the Forest Hills Rangers. And now the score, the deficit is only 4 points.
See, this is one of those moments I kind of make for those Hollywood moments where the score's tight and at the very last second you can turn the game around. It just makes the game much more intense. And by intense, I mean enjoyable.
Enjoyable is right. Finney, her three-point shot is blocked. That time by Smith. Smith will take it all herself. It'll go off the backboard, rebounded by her teammate Keck. But now Finney of the Panthers will take it and pass over to her teammate Gaiman. Gaiman turns around, being guarded well. You see the hands tip into the cookie jar by Berkney there, and Stevens. And she'll pass over to her teammate Rambert Carter. And Gaiman will get it now. She backpedals, hands it over to Geiger. Geiger will take it over to Finney. Finney will pass over to Rambert Carter. Rambert Carter back to Gaiman. Gaiman will pass over to Geiger. Geiger back to Stevens. Back over to Rambert Carter. Back and forth we go. Will someone make a shot? And that will go off the rim. High pass over. Back and forth we go. And we see number 25, Berkney. And we see a falling Serrato. Ooh, and we see Stevens fall down. Reaching for her head as she limps back onto the court.
That was a fabulous save nonetheless, despite falling into the bleachers.
Both squads, very physical play. keeping their heads up high. Like we said earlier, we do not hope for any type of injuries to any of our athletes. Many of us have been past athletes at one point or another. We know what it's like putting in the grind and coming away from injuries or receiving them in some manner.
Absolutely. Yeah, she put a whole lot of energy into that save right there, and she deserves that sit right now.
And I'm sure her teammates give her credit for that, as they will get the ball back. Gaiman will hand it back over to Amber Carter. But now we have a timeout. 2:30 to go here. 38-34 in this fourth period. A high, intense, but yet a low-scoring game. You want to give credit to that, to both defenses here. It's Forest Hills Rangers down by 4 to the Imhotep Charter School in Philadelphia Panthers.
And it's just been going back and forth, back and forth. We haven't seen the score gap too much right now. It's just a 4-point difference, but anything's possible in these 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We will be here all day till 8:30. Coming up next after this is the Keystone vs. Chester girls varsity basketball, and that will be beginning at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
And obviously the Panthers here have had control of this game for the most part. They've had the lead for a considerable amount of the game. Finney now will get the inbound pass from Gaiman. I don't know why they have the sound going off. They finally get it to go. Parker being defended well. Parker will hand it back over to Stevens. Stevens being guarded now. Stevens will kick back to Parker. Parker will go over to Finney on the opposite end. Parker being guarded by Smith. Forgive me, that's Finney. Back now, that is Parker. And she'll be guarded by Keck. Keck tries to keep the ball inside, but will not do so as it stays with the Panthers. Looks like Tanaya Finney will come over and bring in the inbound pass. She'll be guarded by Smith. And you see Stevens come over. She'll be guarded by Henderson. Henderson and Stevens. And you see Finney come back, but she's being guarded by Smith. Gaiman, and we see Stevens fall back there for a moment, but Gaiman being double teamed for a moment. And now it goes in the backcourt, violation.
It's hard to say who has the better strategy in anything in this event right now. Both defenses pretty well balanced, and it seems like they're really covering their players offensively and defensively.
Rangers get the timeout here, trying to think up a strategy to bring this lead that the Panthers have to a close, either equalize or hopefully take the lead here late here in the fourth quarter. As you've mentioned, we have later games here. This is only our second of a blockbuster event, if I can get my stuttering to stop for a moment. But yeah, you've mentioned, obviously, we had our previous game in which we had, forgive me, that was Chambersburg and Cedar Cliff coming with the huge, it was a huge beatdown that the Cedar Cliff women's team had against Chambersburg. And here you have a much closer matchup between Imhotep and Forest Hills. But after this, it won Keystone Academy and Chester, our first men's matchup of the day.
And they should be resuming shortly, as the referees are encouraging them to come back out into the court. And they are assuming the position. 1 minute and 30 seconds to go.
You see, for the Panthers, you have Gaiman, Geiger. You have Finney out there, Stevens, all of their starters. Now Berkney for the Forest Hills Rangers being guarded. Now Kick will kick it outside, and that three-pointer is good, and we have a one-point game with 1:20 to go. Panthers looking to cling on to life here. Play a bit of keep away here. Finney will do just that against Smith. Finney will pass outside to Carter. Stevens now being guarded well by Henderson. as she tries the Euro step, but it's going to be a travel call. It will go back to Forest Hills, and they have a chance here to regain the lead.
Yes, sir. This can turn out.
And Smith with the mid-range jumper as that rattles around. Gaiman brings it back over to Finney. Finney trying to ice the clock here late in the fourth. Finney going back, and she scoops it over to Stevens. Stevens with the open mid-range jumper, and that bounces off the rim. That's rebounded by Berkney, and Berkney will get the screen. Berkney to the outside with 37 to go here in the fourth.
It's that last-minute energy that's taken off here. All right, 20 seconds here on the clock. And we have a little bit of a timeout here. 20 seconds with just 1 point difference. Now, just about anything is possible in 20 seconds, and it's kind of hard to tell if it's better just to kind of dribble the ball down, kind of kill some time while you have a 1 point lead, or try to go in for the kill. There's an easy way to lose the ball when you're in that kind of situation where the opponent can get a hold of it and then turn the score around. Any type of score right now would be a nail in the coffin for any of the teams at this point, where it's just a 1 point difference. Ideally, you kind of want to end off on a tie if you're the team that's on the losing end, or try to win on a, just a 1 point difference at least. You got 20 seconds. Not much can really be kind of done here, other than just kind of either try to score in the last 20 seconds or try to maintain your 1 point lead if you're Imhotep. Nonetheless, these players should feel very proud of themselves. They came this far, and the game is getting ready to resume here. All right, and referee blows the whistle now. Just within a second. All right. Looks like the free throw is going to Imhotep. And to Finney. Finney with the shot, and ooh. That could have been very ugly for Forest Hills. And this situation right now looks like it's in favor of Imhotep. And it's only 12 seconds on the clock as they hold a 1 point lead. If they can hold the ball till the timer is done, they'll go home as a victor of this match. But nonetheless, I'd say with today's performance from both teams, even the losing side should feel like the victor with the amount of effort they put in here, with the strategy. It's been pretty stacked. Right now we have a free throw here for Imhotep. And it's a miss. Just under it. Still in possession by Imhotep. Just dribbling around. We got 3 seconds. And we have another free throw here by Imhotep. All right, we have a little bit of a timeout here. 3 seconds. It looks like Imhotep is going to be the projected winner of this match. Unless by some stroke of a miracle, some really long shot can possibly win Forest Hills the match, but that is highly unlikely. And I would be really just flabbergasted. You might actually hear like dead silence if that happened, because I'll just be speechless. But right now, it looks like Imhotep is the definite winner of this match. Stay tuned because we have more matches coming up. We'll be here till 8:30. Well, actually, we'll be The last game will be beginning at 8:30 rather. But coming up next is the Keystone versus Chester girls varsity basketball, and that'll be beginning at 1 o'clock this afternoon after this competition right here. All right. The players are assuming the positions back onto the court. Shortly after this, I'll be giving the mic down to my co-host, who's down on the floor right now, getting ready to interview one of the coaches for a post-game interview. We have a free throw here by Imhotep, and there we go. That is another point to their name. They got one more shot. And what a way to conclude this game with a 2-point lead. And just, oh! If that went in, that would have been definitely a Hollywood moment right there. A climax. All right. So this is Roxamore Sports Live. I'm Maximilian Keeper with my co-host Dylan Offerman. He's down on the floor right now, getting ready for a post-interview with the coach of Imhotep. That was definitely a amazing game. I'm not rooting for any team, but I was kind of hoping for that 3-pointer just for the just because it would have been against all odds. But fortunately for Imhotep, it was a miss. So Imhotep will be going home feeling quite proud of themselves, and as I said, so should Forest Hills. I'm now going to my co-host down on the floor.
Roxamore Sports Network live here with the win here, Imhotep Charter School Panthers. Congratulations on the win, Coach. Can you give us any keys to your victory today?
I think it was just being prepared for the ups and downs of the game. As you saw, no team was able to pull away or really separate. And when it did, it always came back to a tight game. So even at the end, we couldn't quite execute it the way we wanted, but we were able to survive and get the win.
And on top of that game, you think there's anything you can take away from this for anything in the future as far as mistakes, anything you want to fix up?
Definitely. Time and score, understanding what we need to do down the stretch of the game to close the door. When you have the lead with about 2-3 minutes to go, you really got to be able to seal that victory.
Absolutely. And then for this weekend, as you know, the name of the event, Hoop for Harmony. It's Standing Against Racism as we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday this weekend. Can you tell me what it means to you to be participating in such an event centered around his dream?
I mean, it means a lot because I think as you know, time has moved forward, Dr. King, his work that he did gets overlooked in a lot of ways, and for us as an African-centered school, like paying tribute to our ancestors, Dr. King means a lot for society as a whole, and really bringing people together. I think what this weekend is about, and just bringing people together regardless of race, class, bring together and contribute to something positive. And I know another theme is about the violence, so I know that's a big problem in our city right now. And it's big for us to be part of that, and for our kids to not only play a basketball game, but also play a game that has a purpose behind it.
Coach, congratulations to the win. Good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Roxamore Sports Live. Okay, we will be going into our next match, which will be the Keystone versus Chester girls. All right, Roxamore Sports Live. Maximilian Keefer here with my co-host Dylan Offerman. We'll be right back after these messages for the next game.